Hey man,
Hey, how you doing, sir?
it's Black Shirt Friday.
It is, or for me, it's Brian Best Shirt Friday.
I would do Brian Best Shirt Friday every day. I was on a call yesterday actually with somebody, and I was wearing like a black T-shirt, and I had my Aces hoodie on, and then they were on the call, and I noticed they had a black T-shirt on. So like, I'm friends with the person, so I like subtly took my sweatshirt off, so we were both wearing black shirts, and I think he realized, so then he put his hat on to be different, and then I put my hat on, and he's like, "Dude, stop."
No, but that's so much fun. We need to have more fun on Zoom calls.
I wish that like the problem with Zoom is right, like I'm talking to you but I'm not really. I'm talking out loud in this little cavern of a basement. Um, with which, by the way, if you go to youtube.com/ at all things MSP, you'll see that my field of view is wider. So now you can see more of my office because I got a new Elgato camera.
Yeah, that'll change in editing, though.
Oh, well, then don't go there. But I'm talking to you. I wish there were I need more interaction with Zoom. Like, I don't know. Do we need smello Zoom? Should I be able to smell you from here? That'd be weird.
That would be weird. I have a question about that though, because you just swapped out your teleprompter
Yeah.
for a much larger Elgato teleprompter.
Yeah.
Does that make a difference in the interaction? Because I know part of my problem is you are so small. Like,
How dare you, sir?
I know. Um, in my screen that it's hard. I don't get all of your facial expressions and things like that
Yeah.
I normally would because of the way StreamYard works.
I think the problem is StreamYard more than anything else, not because of the size, but because the way you have StreamYard set up, we're side by side and the camera is dead center. So like even though I'm pointing at the camera right now, my eyes are that gap between the two squares. So like I want to look at you, and if I want to look at you, you can see that I'm like darting off to the left a little bit. So it's not Elgato's fault, it's your fault. But a near.
Monthly billing shouldn't require a master's degree in spreadsheets. If your team is spending hours manually matching Microsoft licenses to client contracts, there is a better way. Sync 365 License handles the heavy lifting for you. It's a distributor agnostic tool that automates M365 and third party license reconciliation so your billing is always a true reflection of what your clients are actually using. Scale your MSP without scaling your administrative headaches. Click the link in the description or go to sync365licenses.com to check out their website and see how much time you could be saving. Most voice over IP providers treat MSPs like an afterthought. But at OIT, they've built a partner program that actually scales with your business. Start as a channel partner and move to full white label when you're ready, without ever losing control of your clients or having to restart your billing. You can hit profit margins of up to 80% while OIT handles the heavy lifting behind the scenes. Stop settling for small commissions and start building real equity in your brand. Click the link in the description or visit oit.co and explore their partner migration path today.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to All Things MSP. I'm your host, Justin Escar. With me always is my good friend and the man whose beard is officially end of life, but like every MSP client is still running it because one critical process depends on it, Mr. Eric Anthony.
Oh, so true. So true.
That's a good one.
That is because it's very legitimate, right? So many SMBs are running some kind of proprietary software, hardware, something that is critical to the business that they just can't get rid of.
I wouldn't even limit it to SMBs. The amount of those like self checkouts you see that are still running like some version of Windows XP like it's Windows XP self checkout mobile edition, but Microsoft has like granted supermarkets like unlimited support for it because they can't upgrade.
I have a feeling there's a cost that comes with that, though.
Oh, I'm sure there is. I don't want to know what it is. I find it weird that my supermarket that I go to has two self-checkout lanes. Like one has like 6 units and the other one has like 4 units. But that one that has 4 units is always cordoned off and no one's ever allowed to go down that lane. Like, I've never seen anyone. Why do they have it? They're paying for it. Why do they have it?
Who knows? I think it's funny. You call it a supermarket. I call it a grocery store.
I'm sorry. I'll call it by its proper name, a supermarché. Because we're bougie up here in the New Jersey. Yeah. Supermarket. I call it the market, the store. Sometimes you just say, I'm going. When did that happen? When did it be like, I'm going to the store just means the supermarket?
It's because when we got lazy, we just shortened it to store.
Mm.
And that way we can go to different stores without specifying exactly.
No, you're not allowed. You're going to say, I'm going to the store and I'm going to Marshall's.
No, I like being obtuse.
You have your weird angles. Well, yeah, no, we were joking around about end of life though, because yes, there are so many, me included, that hold on to things for longer than they should, because of legacy pieces here that do cost money to fix. I have a client who's still running a Mac Mini on Mac OS 12, which is like 7 operating systems ago, because they're running Papercut server. And I went to the client and I was like, we got to get rid of this. And they're like, no, we make money with it. And I was like, how much money do you make with it? Like, I legit want to know. Because for those who don't know what Papercut is, and everyone should at this point, basically it's like a print server that you could associate a print to a particular job or client. So you can charge the client for those prints. And they happen to be an architecture firm. And so I was like, how much are you actually making on this software? Like, how much are you making on prints? And he's like, well, before I tell you, I just want to let you know that like we've changed our billing. So like, we're just including printing as part of our normal billing. I'm like, okay, so the number's going to be little. What is it? And he's like, I don't know, $3,000 a year. I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
In the scope, I was like, I don't know how much your business brings in. I don't want to know, but I can make an assumption based on how many staff members you have and what kind of computers you own and what kind of office space you rent, that $3,000 is not breaking the bank. Do you really want to have this device that's so risky to your network and prone to problems and running some piece of JavaScript BS program? Because by the way, Papercut sucks. They'll never sponsor. We love Papercut. Maybe they'll sponsor. That like, is $3,000 worth this that could potentially eat everything else? And he's like, well, you put it that way. I was like, dude,
what other way do you want me to put it? Like,
yeah, I made it clear for them. And now he's actually like, anyone that's still being charged per print, he's like working through those contracts. He promised me by the end of 2026 that he'll be done with that. We can get rid of it. I'm like, also, it'll save you money. I don't have to maintain it. But also, it's technically not covered under our maintenance agreement because I'm pretty sure somewhere in our MSA, thanks, Brad, that it says like anything over 5 years doesn't count. But we all have that in our contracts and none of us hold people to it because we're terrible at contracts. That's why we have lawyers. But yeah, end of life is a problem for sure.
So what are some of the specific problems that you've seen?
I mean, the big one obviously is like the machine can't get updated and then the machine ends up being slow and the machine has I have this other client who has this ancient photo software. And I don't mean like Adobe Photoshop, like it's like a photo viewer, but he's a photography catalog company.
Uh-huh.
And he doesn't want to upgrade. I don't know if it's because of money or desire, because he has, if I were to tell you tens of millions of photos, I'd be underselling what he has in terms of what he has, right? Like he's got photos from the 1970s, like crazy photos from the 1970s. And they're digitized to this viewer program that existed for like 20 years. And then one day Kaiser Soze'd its way out of the ecosystem. And so he's still running on computers that are on 1015, which is before 11. So let's just do the math, right? It was 10 something, and then it was 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 26. So we're on 1015 and stuff, right? Because if he were to upgrade to any piece of software that's newer, the amount of time that it would take to recatalog everything
Mm-hmm.
would basically destroy his business. And so the downside to this is obviously every time he has a problem, any of my team is like, most of my team is younger, truth be told. Like I have a lot of like 20-ish year olds on my team. I joke, but like they weren't alive when 1015 was out. Basically, that's what it is.
But it's almost true.
It's almost true, right? So they're like, we don't know how to help you. Not because the buttons are in different places, but because like our software, like Adigy doesn't connect to 1015 anymore, right? Or he uses Mac Mail, but he uses an AOL email and a Gmail address. Guess what? Those don't work with Mac Mail either because of TLS or whatever. Like, and so now what's becoming is like, and he's under control. I'm not saying it's a bad situation, but like potentially it's like him every other day with some other hiccup that we can't provide the level of a service we want to provide as a company because his stuff is just too old.
Well, let me ask you this. At the end of the day, are you keeping him running?
I mean, it's on bed of nails. I was trying to think of what the expression was, right? Like toothpick, like two cans in a string. Yeah, he's still running and he's fine. I mean, he's got a smaller business and he doesn't do a lot with it, and he's trying to sell a lot of it. Whatever, fine, doesn't matter. But yeah, he's still running, and he's still capable of doing his day-to-day job, which is what matters.
Follow-up question then: are you making your target margin on him?
Yes, he's like for other reasons. I'm not going to get into the reason. Yes, but for other reasons.
But overall, you are making your target margin on him, so it's fine.
Exactly, it's fine. However, he is potentially prone to things that could happen, right? Like in the Apple ecosystem, it's very funny when the Apple ecosystem updates, right? Like when a 0.1 update comes out and we see an update for like 26, right? So 26.4.1, 26.4.2 as the example here, or not the 0.1, but the 0.01. They'll sometimes release one for like 15 also. Like 15's been gone for over a year now. And like 26.4.1 came out and they did 15.8.3 from 15.8.2 or whatever it is.
That's when you know it's a security update.
Right. Those are security updates, right? But we won't see those for 14. And we definitely won't see those for 10.15. So, and then every now and then we'll run into the problem where like Chrome won't update because it's too old. Or like he can't come to a particular website because it doesn't work in that version of the browser. So it's just doing harm unto himself. Me as the business owner at Virtual, like we're fine, but it's the questionable nature of what he's doing that could end up potentially damaging his business in the long run. And he's fine, whatever, but like let's extrapolate this out and let's do it on the Windows side, right? Because more importantly, EOL operating systems or outdated operating systems on Windows is potentially more dangerous because like Windows 10 is gone, right? Like we're on Windows 11. But I know plenty of MSPs whose fleets are still on Windows 10 and like they might get security updates and they might, the MSP is always going to be like, they're secure, I got them. But like the reality is like you don't know what they're doing on a day-to-day. And if they go to one wrong website that knows about a CVE in Windows 10 that was patched in Windows 11.
Right. Yeah. Although I thought I read something just in the last couple of days where they are kind of keeping Windows 10 on life support in terms of security updates.
I'm sure they are, right? But like, what's funny is like when we did any Windows stuff, like I took care of a school a while back and I walked in and they were running like Windows Server 2008 in 2019. You know what I mean? Like it's stuff like that. I tend to feel like, and I look forward to your tweets and emails that MSPs don't want to upgrade Windows servers, which by the way, stop having on-prem servers. But like don't upgrade servers like Windows Server 2008, Server 2012 because of quote unquote reasons. But you're potentially running the risk of like completely damaging someone else's business because, either you're too afraid to have I think that's what it is. They're too afraid to have the conversation with the customer that like, listen, this is going to cost money because there's a potential that you're going to get screwed.
Yeah.
Right. It's that like, how do I sell the upgrade to get out of something that's end of life?
Yeah. I think,
and that's a hard thing.
Using your example, I think there is a real risk, right, to this software just not working, the hardware going down and you not being able to replace it with like hardware and like operating system. And so I think it is almost your duty, even if they don't accept it, to present some type of solution to reduce or eliminate that risk, right? And I think
100%.
Looking at this example, this is probably maybe a little straightforward in that, especially with AI now he's got millions upon millions of photographs, right? Mm-hmm. Which that's a problem because it's a huge amount of data.
Yeah.
But you could probably, with AI, somehow merge the metadata that he's got, because that's the problem here. The problem is not the photographs, because those can be backed up, obviously. It's the metadata that he's probably got stored in there to find these things, to find specific photographs. And I think that is a solution that probably didn't exist 3 or 4 years ago, but now does with AI.
It's actually not a bad idea to like pitch him on like running all those photos, like building out a system in Replit and running all his photos through that and doing some sort of online catalog to replace his like 4D server and all this stuff. Yeah, 100%. A year ago, that wouldn't have existed. But I do think, and we can go further than just computers, right? Because like Meraki is now end-of-lifing their mobile device management, right? They couldn't keep up with it. They're putting it on EOL, and I think EOL for it is like in a month from when we're recording this. They did say they'll support it for another year or two or whatever it is to help you get off. But like vendors EOL stuff all the time on people. And we as MSPs tend to just say, okay, and just continue using it.
Right.
Because like, we're like, whether we're too afraid to ask the client to change it, we're not in a position to just do it in the back end without the client even noticing or whatever. Like if it's a piece of hardware, like let's say your favorite access point goes end of life. Are you going to change your access point? Prob not, right? Like unless there's a valid reason to. Like
right. And a real security risk.
Right, unless it's great because the access point it's a low cost item. We're talking about something like $149, and maybe it's Wi-Fi 5 and not Wi-Fi 6 or 7 or 10,000 or whatever the next word is, right? But it works, so fine. But if it's something in like the security stack, what if it's the firewall? What if the firewall is end of life? Are you going to go replace the firewall? A lot of people would say no, because why upset the apple cart? And I think that's the wrong answer.
Right. Yeah, because there's too much that goes into any of that, and a firewall especially, because a firewall is, in terms of your perimeter, one of your most important pieces of security.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
And if it's no longer being updated, if it's out of warranty, there's just too many things that can go wrong that are going to cause the customer either a breach, which is devastating to a small business, or even just downtime.
Yeah.
Because it just up and died for some reason and it's out of warranty.
When you ran your MSP, what was your life cycle on computers? Like, did you have a particular life cycle time frame for client endpoints?
Now I was a little flexible. It was typically 3 to 5 years on a desktop or a laptop.
Yeah.
And it was 5 to 7 on a server.
Okay. I feel like that's the same now.
I'm sorry?
I feel like that's the same. That hasn't changed.
Yeah, I don't think that has changed much. I did kind of also implement, because I started selling a lot of Dell, like towards the end, right?
Sure.
I kind of had standardized on Dell. And then I had a requirement where it had to be under warranty by Dell because I was trying to get out of hardware, right? I didn't want to be responsible for having to pay to replace or fix something.
Okay.
And so I wanted to be able to call Dell and, Dell send a technician out here, especially for servers, right? For servers, I wanted a technician on site next day, worst case.
I mean, that totally makes sense. On the Apple side, what's funny is like Apple Care is 3 years, but Apple released this new Apple Care Plus that you can pay monthly until whenever. So they're now warrantying things well beyond 3 years. But when the M series chips came in, because Apple used to be, like I used to tell people 3 years. After 3 years, your Apple Care is gone, change your machine. But when the M series came out in 2020, I was like, these things are going to last like 6, 7, 8 years. And I wasn't that far off. We're starting to see, or just we're kind of, I would say we're like middle way into seeing the initial M1s from 2020 are starting to lag more than anything else.
Yeah, that's what I'm using right now.
But there's nothing wrong with them. They still they maintain the current operating system.
Right.
So they're still fine. Maybe you don't get the dual monitor that you would get out of an M4 or M5 or whatever, but like that problem, like, I mean, it's really Apple's problem because like they're not going to be able to turn over machines as quickly and sell as many computers, which is why they want us to sell more computers. But the fact of the matter is that like if it becomes harder for me as an MSP to say to my client, like, listen, your computer is now 6 years old. It's time to change it. Because the answer is always like, well, I'm using it and it's totally fine.
Right.
So I think on the Apple side, it's not necessarily predefined time frame. I think it really, we have to, on the Apple side, have to change our modality from like a 3 to 5 year to, is the operating system no longer going to be capable of running? Like, what's the latest OS? Like, I think the rule is, instead of a 5-year rule, it's we don't support devices that the operating system on the device is anything earlier than N-1.
Yeah, and I think the only thing that may change that here short term in the future is if we start moving AI workloads to the local machine more.
Fair. That's fair.
Because that could dramatically change how the existing hardware works and probably, to be honest, require us to develop new hardware to be able to do that well.
Well, funny is because, and I don't want to get into AI, but like on your M1, you can run Apple Foundations just as well as I can on anything else. Like I've been testing it on an M4 low-end MacBook Air just for sake of testing. But you're right. I think if we start moving more away from cloud AI into local AI, people are just going to want to upgrade more than anything else. I think that desire will be there more so than the, hey, we're hitting a technical challenge and you have to upgrade, right? Going back to my photography customer, I can't say that he'd be really privy to running AI locally. And so selling him on the idea of like, if we get you a new computer with a new OS and we tell the AI what your pictures are, it'll do it for you and you won't need this legacy piece of software. I think that just might scare him into a cardiac arrest.
Well, and that brings up an excellent point because a lot of times this is not a technical issue or a risk issue. It is a client comfortability issue.
Yeah. Are they comfortable spending the money? Are they comfortable with the new stuff? I mean, I think a big one for us was switching to macOS 26 was liquid glass and all of the visual changes, which really skewed people. At what point did Windows change their view, right? Wasn't it Windows 8, I think, changed from like the start menu to that new like squarey Windows icon? Everything kind of looked weird. Maybe it was Windows 7. I don't remember.
I think it was 7.
It was 7,
and
right?
Yeah, when you no longer had a start menu.
Right. Yeah. Look at me, old man yelling at cloud. We want the start menu.
Yeah, but do you know how hard it is to support parents who
Yes, Eric, I do.
I know you do.
Which is why I don't do it anymore. And I've actually legit called my friend Pat Dengler to take care of my mom's computer because I don't want to deal with it anymore.
And it's not, look, I don't mind doing it. I certainly owe them everything. but it has become significantly harder, especially now that I have no footprint in the Windows world,
Right.
right? I am completely and 100% Mac.
Welcome to the real world. That's where you're supposed to be. Get your parents on a Mac. That's the
I've
answer.
tried. I've tried.
That's the,
But I mean, they're at a point where their next thing is probably just an iPad,
no, that makes sense.
which
But
they
there's
do
another
have.
one, right? But so okay, fine. iPads don't go end of life, but there have been iPads that don't work anymore, right? We're on the iPad 10, I think. Is it okay to give clients iPad 8s if they don't run iOS 26? They run iOS 18. Again, there's my like N minus, like I want to support it only if it's N minus one, which is a really good way to do things because on the Apple side, every year there's a new operating system, so we can force updates to a degree. I don't know when Windows 12 is planning on releasing or if they're going. Didn't they just get to Windows 11?
Not just, but it takes them a while.
Relatively speaking, right? Because they're at 11.5 or whatever it is. So I think when it comes down to the actual end of life ruling here, is I think it depends on the item itself, right? On a computer, you have to take into consideration comfortability of the customer, price, what kind of upgrades that's going to look like, what their lifestyle should be, and what the impact is holistically on the customer, not just financially, but like, can they use it? Will their software work? All these things. I think on non-computers, on things like networking hardware, specifically, because I guess printers don't really matter and a VoIP phone is a VoIP phone. So really, we're talking about networking hardware. Like we said, if a firewall is going end of life and you're not going to get support anymore from the company, time to switch, no matter what the cost, because you're leaving a window open on the first floor of the building next to the open vault by not replacing that firewall.
Well, interestingly enough, the same could be said for a printer. Not to dispute you, but there are plenty of printers that have internet capability that have been, breached.
I have a client who just got a pen test done, and I was on the phone with the pen tester, and I was like, if you tell me about that printer one more time, man, I'm going to like, he's like, I love printers because they're the worst. I'm like, there's nothing I can do about it. It's a massive multifunction, Canon printer that fits in my entire basement. And he's like, you need to turn off all of these things. I was like, if I turn off one thing, that printer will do nothing but spew magenta ink all over the floor. I'm not touching the freaking print. Yeah.
Oh.
So printers, I don't really ever see printers end of life, but I do see when printers do hiccup and like need to be dealt with.
Well, I mean, you could make the argument that because they have internet accessibility and if they are not patched anymore, that they represent a bigger security risk than typical.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's time we wrap. My camera's being funky.
I noticed that.
I don't know why. It keeps freezing. If you know how to unfreeze an Elgato camera, hit me up on LinkedIn. So I think my computer's just due for a reboot because I'm getting prompted for like a allow thing that I can't do until after I'm done with this call. It's a great way to end the episode. My brand new camera is telling my computer that it's end of life. End of lifing this episode. That's what we're doing.
That is we're going to end of life this episode.
Yeah, that's it. So replace your stuff and tell your clients you have to. Give them a report. I know one of the things we didn't touch on really, and maybe we'll talk about it more next week when I fix my camera, is like you should be giving your customers reports quarterly on what needs to be replaced and why. And if they keep seeing red dots on their report, they're going to be like, what? How do we fix the red dots?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's about the way you have to present it.
Yeah. We'll get more into quarterly reports or some sort of reporting on in a future episode. But for now, go to facebook.com/group/all things MSP to interact with us and the rest of the group and tell us what you think of this episode and Whether or not you had clients that don't want to pay for things after their end of life, or correct me on my Windows 11 jokes, it's fine. I don't care. YouTube.com/@allthingsmsp. That if Eric doesn't crop it, you'll see my entire couch. And like, subscribe, ring the bell. You know what to do. Final words, sir?
Final words. I better not find anybody still using a Linksys WRT54G router. That's all I got to say.
Agreed. That's Eric. I'm Justin. Bye.
Thank you for listening or watching the All Things MSP podcast. If you liked this episode, go ahead and give us a thumbs up, hit that like button, and consider subscribing to catch all our weekly episodes. And from your host extraordinaire, Justin Escar, and myself, Eric Anthony, your humble producer and All Things MSP founder, thank you very much for spending your time with us. If you are not aware, All Things MSP started as a Facebook group and now supports over 6,000 members. We also have a LinkedIn page for those of you who don't do Facebook, and make sure to check out our YouTube channel for even more content. And a special thanks to our premier sponsors, Blumira, Easy DMark, Material Security, OIT VoIP, and Sync365. And thank you to the rest of our sponsors. Without sponsors, we could not do what we do for the MSP community. Please consider checking them out. The All Things MSP podcast is a BizPow LLC production. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not reflect the thoughts and opinions of any employer, vendor, sponsor, or random taxi driver in the Metro DC area. Be sure to join us next week for another exciting episode.